Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk. Let's talk about something a bit important. Let's talk about things that have just happened. Let's talk about patch 3.4. So, Jibs, Jibs, Awesome Man created the game as we spectate this game, already released patch 3.4. And there's a variety of things that go into this, like some of the aspects of the game have changed, some balance has changed. You might be wondering, how does this change what I do differently? And you'd be right to wonder. So we're going to go over this in 3 levels of patch changes. The first level of a patch change is the change itself. We're going to go over what those are. The second level is the impact of those changes. What options are now available or safer than they were before, harder to execute, things of that nature. Can you do them faster? Does it take longer? Etc. And the level 3 is the metagame. How players understand all of these changes and then adjust them so that they can improve them in a global sense. So now that we've talked about all of those, let's go over, as this chin down to sound, the next aspect. Alright, so let's talk about the changes themselves in the patch. So, the bird was increased from 25 seconds to 60 seconds, and its cost was increased from 50 gold to 80 gold. But 85 gold, and you don't need a fortress anymore. This means it's much easier to scout than ever before. And that's a pretty good thing to happen in the game, right? What this means is we see a worker rush. What this means is that, okay, you can scout your opponent more easily. So, that's the level 1, and the level 2 is, you can adjust, you can find out what your opponent's doing more easily. Okay. Level 1. Let's talk about the change itself in the patch for houses. Cost was reduced from 200 gold to 125, and units cost about 60% more gold than they did before. So what does that actually mean? Level 2, what's the impact of the changes? Well, units when they die are more impactful, and when they die, you've sunk a lot more money into them. This means that when you actually are at a disadvantage, your disadvantage means more. So what's the other thing it means? Well, if houses are cheaper, then it's easier for you to get yet more stuff, more units and attack. And that's important to note as well, so let's think about that. Another change that happened, level 1, skeletons. Lifetime was reduced from 50 seconds to 35. This means that the mage's summon skeleton skill is actually going to take much longer to go ahead and have an impact, and you can't really send them from a distance. They die, their lifetime ends sooner. The impact of those changes is just that summon skeleton and mages in general were nerfed a little bit. Spoiler alert, summon skeleton is going to be removed for an AoE slow spell, but for now, this is the change that we have. So another level 1 change is the werewolf. His armor was reduced from 4 to 3. This means that archers can do more damage against them, and soldiers, just about everything. Doesn't change wolves though. And the impact of those changes is that now if you're 1 armor upgrade ahead, if you're going beast against barracks, your archers will still do 2 damage against you instead of 1, and that's literally double the damage. That's actually a huge, huge nerf to werewolves considering. Final thing we're going to go over are the tower upgrade and invisibility. So the tower upgrade, it used to grant plus 3 armor, plus 3 damage, plus 1 range. Now it just grants plus 2 armor and plus 2 damage. This means that wolves will still do the same damage they did before, but other barracks-based units will do more damage than they did last time. Additionally, workers will do more damage than last time. So that means the defenses will be a little bit weaker. Now let's talk about invisibility. Reduced duration from 150 to 60 seconds, and now invisibility gives plus 2 damage. Interesting change. What this means is that invisibility won't necessarily require quite the same degree of, oh, I didn't see invisibility, therefore I die. But at the counterpoint of that, invisibility allows you to raid more often, do more damage, maybe get some more worker kills. So that's the level 1 and level 2 there. Now let's talk about level 3, the new metagame. This is something that will be figured out in just about the following order. As we look at all these changes, players who are really, really skilled, like the top 5–10% of players in LittleWarGame, will take a look at all of these changes and use them to figure out new edges. Is it safer to do this? Is it harder to do that? And what the changes might be, I don't know quite yet. So what happens is highly skilled players iterate, they make even better changes, they maximize the utility of all these things, and they play against each other. And then people who aren't that good, but a little bit worse, will end up playing these highly skilled players. And they'll come into new strategies and say, wow, that is a good strategy, this is more effective, I could use some of that. As they start to use it, they then in turn play people who are both stronger and weaker than them, and they pass it down to the people below them, and it continues down like that. Eventually, the very people who are not so skilled that the metagame changes actually impact their strategy. They need to micro better, they need to macro better, they still struggle with making enough workers, things of that nature. Even at that low level, those players will come in contact with new strategies and their metagame will shift. The thing that is considered really good for them to do will shift, even though, in all honesty, it's not actually necessary for it to shift because they can get better as players, okay? So if they can get better as players through this new metagame, they'll try and take that avenue, and you'll see that way the metagame or the way the changes impact the top level of play scoot all the way down and filter the very bottom of LittleWarGame. So there we go. We talked about the 3 levels of patch changes. Level 1, the change themselves. Level 2, the impact of the changes. And level 3, the new metagame. And we talked about how the metagame starts from the top and then filters all the way down to the bottom. Go ahead and keep giving me replays and PMs for things that the rewards I post a community update for. Tell me about your 3 ladder wins. First 5 people get 100 gold. Tell me about your best 2v2 replay and share it. First 2 that I get 250 gold if they're the best ones, so hurry up on that. And of course, create a custom game or a mod, and if it's really good, then you, by the end of the week, will also get 500 gold. So thanks again for your time, and have fun out there in LittleWarGame.